TME results glitch has nothing to do with ethnicity, just as Yabatech rector backs examination body calls for stakeholder collaboration. Now, the fear of Boko Haram comeback grips Maiduguri. Maiduguri is its birthplace, just as terror group attacks 4 Nigerian military bases within 24 hours. And later on, we'll share this with you. Reports say over 15,000 Nigerian doctors emigrate in 7 years. A professor of medicine, Philip Njemanze, would join us for the discussion. But let me report I'm hanging out with the one, the only Babajide Kolade Otitoju, BKO we call him. BKO, I greet you. Welcome.
Yeah. Good evening, Citizen Jones. Good evening, our viewers.
Yeah, BKO, we are joined by the proud Ekiti son, Adewale Adeoye.
Yes.
Adewale, I greet you.
Good afternoon, Sis Jones. Nice to be here again.
Okay, so the team is ready. I hope you are. Okay, let's go. You know, in a show of commitment to corporate social responsibility, the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministries, MFM, led by General Overseer Dr. Daniel Olukoya, has launched a new initiative providing subsidized food items to church members and local residents. This outreach effort is part of MFM's broader evangelism strategy, aimed not only at spiritual growth, but also at offering practical support to the surrounding communities. Now, the program reflects the ministry's dedication to uplifting lives and addressing everyday needs through faith in action. Let's share the background to the story with you. Let's go there.
The 2025 edition of Care Evangelism, a unique outreach initiative of the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministries, MFM, continues to blend spiritual revival with practical compassion, reaching out to the vulnerable with love and care. The latest outreach took place at the Palace of the Olu of Iwaya in Yaba, Lagos, where the community gathered in numbers, eager to receive both physical and spiritual nourishment. The Care Evangelism initiative, founded by MFM's General Overseer, Dr. Daniel Olukoya, is deeply rooted in the teachings of Jesus Christ.
So the Care Evangelism is to take care of people, to feed them, and to see how the church can support them. The church should not only be giving spiritual advice. When the people are hungry, if you are hungry, spiritual cannot work alone. So that's why after the spiritual, attending to people, we are now doing the spiritual, the physical aspect to attend to them. So thousands of people, we did this yearly. So thousands of people, as you can see, so many people are benefiting, and we have shared the word of God. We have given them the fruit of the seed, the food of the spirit, and we are now giving them the physical food.
Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministries is here in Iwaya, and so therefore we have to partner with the people who shows us love. We are in the community together. Okay, we are companions here, and so the church has to extend, a good hand of fellowship and good to the people of Iwaya.
Following a message from the Bible meant to uplift hearts and restore faith, the church distributed food items and cash gifts to widows, the elderly, people living with disabilities, and others in attendance.
I really appreciate what our Oba Sulaiman Owolabi, Oloko, and MFM members did for us here. I really appreciate it because I did not even expect it today. They gave me Gary and 1,000 naira. Very, very good to me.
We are grateful for what has happened today. This is not the first time, and we pray that the hand of God will continue to be with the supporters of this kind of laudable program. We have not. We have always been under care of the King and the people that support the free distribution of food.
In addition to this gesture, young people in the community also received financial empowerment.
In fact, it's a great day to youth people because Today is not the first time. It's been going by year. We just have to thank the person that sending this money to us, that God will not leave him in Jesus' name. So we are all happy to be here today, especially me.
The Olu of Iwayayaba Kingdom, Oba Suleiman Owolabi Ogunoloko, praised the church's unwavering support.
Our father in the Lord, Professor Dr. D.K. Olukoya, and his beautiful wife, Dr. Mrs. Folashade Olukoya, came to the rescue of our people here at Iwaya, particularly in Yaba Kingdom. He did a whole lot for us to alleviate the suffering there. And so since then, even when there's no more COVID, it still comes to our aid.
For them to know God more, because that is the main thing. It is not just the food and the money. So we are using this avenue also to preach to them, to talk to them, to have a new life also. So this is also going to make the community to continue to be united, to live in love, in peace and harmony also. As the beneficiaries made their way home with gratitude in their hearts and gifts in their hands, they carried with them a timeless message that love, no matter how small the gesture, has the power to transform lives. Sahid Aribisala, TVC News, Lagos.
Thank you, Saeed. Because I'm moved this afternoon to attempt a bit of preaching. In the book of John, chapter 14, verse 15, Jesus the Christ said, "If you love me, keep my commandments." And the commandment is, love one another, even as I have loved you.
Yes. Especially in these difficult times, it makes sense to show love to one another. It makes sense to show generosity to the needy.
Okay.
Because the Bible already established that there will always be poor people in our midst. That is a reality that no one can do anything about. We can't all be rich. We can't also all be poor. So, some of us will be rich, some of us will be poor. So
some of us are rich so as to help the needy.
Yes, we help the poor. Lift them up, raise their hands, so that they can
give hope,
live meaningful lives. And I'm happy. I love the way Saeed even ended the story by saying, "Love, no matter generosity, no matter how small, has the capacity to transform lives."
It goes a long way.
Yes, when you show love to people, when you show generosity, it's really, really empowering. And they say it's a yearly thing. This is the first time hearing about it, but here it's a yearly thing. And volunteer caregivers help the needy, including the physically challenged. As I always say, government and the politicians cannot do it alone. People are privileged. Look at Bill Gates, for example. Look at what he does with the resources at his disposal. Trying to make our world better, spending so much money on researches that can help improve the livelihood of the generality of our people. So those who have means must be prepared to help the poor. That, in my view, is very, very necessary. And just as you said earlier, there is that admonition from Jesus Christ that we should help the poor. The same way he has chosen to help, and the same way he has sacrificed, made a big sacrifice for humanity. So I'm happy with the gesture of the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministry. And I hope that this will go on, and other people, other churches would also borrow a leaf for them and do something similar to this in their own areas.
Wale, they say there's no exercise good for the heart like bending down to help somebody in need.
I think that's actually the most important principles when you are talking about Islam and Christianity. Both prophets came to this world to salvage the people, not the rich. They didn't come to this world to salvage, and they were not actually from rich homes. Jesus of Nazareth was not his father was not a billionaire. He was just a carpenter. So I think what the Mountain of Fire is doing is in line with Christian doctrine, with the best practices of religious doctrine. Established in 1989, the church has been doing fairly well in terms of humanitarian services, with its 300 branches, in Nigeria and all over the world.
Around the world, yeah.
So I believe that because of the economic situation in this country, churches can make a lot of impact in transforming the lives of people by meeting their needs, by meeting the essentials of life that they actually need to survive. I think it's a very good example, and I believe other churches who are doing the same thing will not relent.
Yeah.
And I know a church in Lagos that gave bread to people on Sundays for about 3 years, every Sunday. You may think it's nothing, but it meant a lot to people in need. Some such churches also give loans.
Every Sunday there's this sense of hope.
Yeah.
Something is coming.
Something is coming. And you see a lot of poor people who are not even sure what to eat daily.
Yeah.
Trooping to this church, for bread. So I think it's a very good thing, and commend Dr. Olukoya for this initiative. And we pray God to continue to strengthen him. There are a lot of rich people in churches that if you coordinate very well, they can give in to that church to, transfer to poor people that are in need. Yeah.
After all, again, going back to the good book, it says on that day, they won't ask you, what and what did you give to... They won't ask you...
you remember that woman in the Bible who gave the smallest amount, the whole thing that... But Jesus Christ said that woman...
Her gift
was greater. Even though they had a lot of billions given to...
Comes from the
heart. From the heart. Very poor person, but was able to... So giving, is a very important aspect of religion.
All right, so Mountain of Fire, from here, the journalists Hangout family would say, wish you Godspeed, and we are waiting for the next round. Okay, then to our next story. A lecture series is a structured sequence of lectures designed to engage with the wider community. The University of Benin lecture series falls into this category. In one of the presentations at the event, Aaron Babajide Kolade Utitoju, BKO, by definition, Director of Current Affairs, TVC News, urged government at all levels to prioritize knowledge and innovation in addressing social challenges and promoting sustainable development in the country. Let's share the background to this story with you. Let's go there. Thank you.
Gathered at the Akindeko Auditorium of the University of Benin are administrators from various higher institutions across the country, united by a common goal to strengthen the ties between universities and their host communities. Given the crucial role university communities play in the advancement of knowledge and societal development, this year's theme was carefully selected to drive home the importance of engagement. Delivering the keynote address was the Director of Current Affairs at TVC Communications, Babajide Kolade Utitoju. In his lecture, the guest speaker emphasized that national development is largely hinged on the vibrancy and relevance of institutions within any society.
It is crucial for university staff and students to be aware of and respect the culture and tradition of their host communities. This understanding fosters better community engagement, promotes harmony, and can even enhance learning for students. By understanding and respecting local customs, traditions, and values, universities can build stronger relationships with their host communities. Universities can actively participate in local events, initiatives, and volunteering programs, fostering a sense of shared responsibility and belonging. Exposure to different cultures can broaden students' perspectives, develop their intercultural skills, and prepare them for a globalized world. Cultural awareness can prevent misunderstandings and conflicts that can arise from unfamiliar practices or norms.
Other speakers commended the choice of topic and the guest lecturer, noting that the lecture has expanded perspectives on the need for stronger institutional engagement across Nigeria.
The theme of this maiden registry lecture, University Community Engagement, Perspective from the Nigerian Society and Media, is topical and speaks to the reality of the belief that no one is an island.
The event of today marks a significant milestone in our odyssey as a great citadel of learning that strives to provide quality education as we gather to celebrate excellence and share knowledge that will shape our ideology on university administration.
In terms of the goal of achieving food security, universities can play a big part. If universities can ramp up agri-production, the biggest beneficiaries remains people in the university environment, the university town. They will be the biggest beneficiaries of this because they will be able to access food at lower prices and supply will be guaranteed. So I believe that the relationship between university communities and the university staff and students will continue to get better once there is mutual respect and the desire to understand ourselves, understand our cultures a lot more. It's a good thing that I'm not against university communities trying to own the universities, as long as they are not overbearing about it. As long as they don't lead protests into the university premises to say, no, the TVC must also come from Benin. Oh, this person must also, no. But increasingly, they see the university as their own, and if they demand to be adequately represented in decision-making, the leadership position of universities, it is not a bad thing.
A robust educational system remains a cornerstone for national growth and social transformation. For this reason, enhanced collaboration and integration among university communities cannot be overemphasized.
All right, folks, Adewale, essentially, what is coming to me is this. The aim of the exercise here is for the citadel of learning to think outside of the box.
Yeah. The main reason for having universities is to drive the intellectual power.
Yeah.
The intellectual
of a people.
Of any society.
Yeah.
And when we are talking about intellectual powers, we are talking about technology, we are talking about research, we are talking about, industrial development of that country. If you look at Asia, Japan, even Europe, the industrial development, the industrial revolution in the 18th century in Europe was driven by the universities in Europe. A lot of researches that took place in those areas became patent for them. And many of them are still collecting royalties on these patent rights. Research into different kinds of medicines, drugs, construction. So I think what Babajide has raised in this lecture is a very fundamental issue about the relationship that should happen between the university system and then the government in terms of working as partners to drive science, to drive art, to drive the economy, to drive industry. So I think, university is not just about how to strike. It's not just about students are looter. There are a whole lot of things that are built around. Look at the University of Cape Town, for instance. Its monthly revenue is about 63 billion rounds. You know what that means in dollars? The University of Michigan, there are two universities, the Michigan State University and the University of Michigan, about $3.1 billion. Where do they get these funds? Apart from federal government funding, state funding, the state where they are located also give them money. the local government funding, then endowment from private sector.
Yeah.
For instance, the Lagos State government can ask University of Lagos to design a bridge instead of giving it to a contractor. If you give it to University of Lagos engineering department, it's going to be cheaper. They are going to make a whole lot of money from it. You know, our pharmaceutical companies can fund IFE, ABU, BUK to do research, UNN, and then it could be on malaria. You know, it could be on just anything. So they can put fund into this. It's not every time that we are just relying on importing everything from abroad. There should be a synergy between the industrial sector, our academic institutions. So I think once we're able to get that right, Nigeria is going to transform.
Otherwise, look on the inside.
Yeah, there are a lot of, if you go abroad, look at the AIDS vaccine that was developed in Russia. There was a Nigerian medical doctor there. If you go to abroad, go to NASA, go to, you know, very great institutions, you find Nigerians working there. It's not as if they cannot do the same, you know, in our universities. Once those universities are properly funded, and then we create that synergy between the university and then
when I remember that in Nigeria,
the corporate world.
A Nigerian helped in designing a car version in Japan.
Yeah.
I asked myself, so this can also come from Nazareth?
If you go to Nigerian universities, especially, you know, Department of Engineering, I know that I did a story several years ago. One of the things designed at the, you know, Faculty of Engineering, UNN, was a machine that can count every vehicle at toll gate.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to measure the revenue. But that thing is lying there. At Unilag, a student, you know, designed a machine. It's a mosquito repeller. It's just by the noise. You know, the female mosquito and then the male mosquito. There's one that causes malaria, the other one does not cause malaria. Once it hears that noise, it thinks that there's a female mosquito that wants to meet. There's a male mosquito that wants to meet with the female. So the female mosquito that causes malaria will go away from that area. But those things are there in our universities. Nobody is talking about linking them up, providing their adequate environment and funding for them so that they can complement the search for industrial growth. So I think it has raised a very fundamental issue that I also think government should look at it.
Yeah, because my mind quickly goes to Autonov, if you remember. Autonov and the
Professor Ojobi.
Ikorodu son, you know. Professor.
But, you know, beyond that, the relationship between the town and the week is a very important one. And this came up in the course of the lecture. Today, if you hear that a university will be set up in your community
environment,
you get excited because you know that the president of the university will improve the economy of that community. If you go to Oye-Ekiti now, it has been completely transformed by the presence of the university.
Okay.
And happily too, the university is in the top 5. That's university in Oye-Ekiti is in the top 5 in terms of the preference of JAMB candidates. It even trumped some of the, many of the traditional universities, the first generation universities. So within a short time, rapid growth has happened in Oye. People have built hostels, and those who have built hostels will reap bountifully from it because the school does not have enough accommodation for its students. There are even some universities without hostels on the campus for students. So the community, many people in the community will build hostels and get involved in other businesses that will cause their income to soar. For example, in a university community, if you start a telephony business, you're selling phone accessories, you are repairing phones, you are selling phones itself. Because these young people, they don't play with their phones. So you find that that piece of business will grow. So today we see communities up in arms against one another. When Oye-Ekiti, that federal university was set up, it led to a conflict between them and Ikole-Ekiti. And lives were lost. Because everybody wants a university sited in their community. The same thing happened when what was supposed to be Federal University Kaba was taken away and taken to Lokoja
Wow.
Because of political differences between the then governor and Smart Adeyemi, you know, and that also led to loss of lives.
Needlessly.
Yes. So the importance of the university, not just to the communities in which they are located, but to the nation as a whole, cannot be overemphasized.
Yeah.
The universities are centers of excellence, centers of research. We need to do our best to get our universities to live up to their full potential of helping us achieve a much better country in the area of science in many spheres of life. Unfortunately, even when TED Fund funds research development, sends university academics, university lecturers abroad, a lot of them don't come back. A lot of them don't come back. It's a big problem. They're supposed to come back and use what they have gained to benefit the society. But a lot of them just stay there. I was reading something that a Lagos State official said too, that many of those that Lagos State government or civil servants that Lagos State government sends abroad for the purpose of seeking advancement in knowledge, they don't come back home. So at the end of the day, what they've gained, it is the universities over there or people over there that will benefit. How can we have a much better country with this kind of attitude? So our universities, first and foremost, must be funded sufficiently so that they can live up to their billing. I believe that the universities that we have, those of them that are agric universities, they are underperforming. We are talking about enhanced mechanized farming. These universities should lead
that will
it.
become attractive.
Yes,
to the
they should lead research in crop science. They should lead research that can help us achieve greater yield from our cash crops that we plant. So government should fund them sufficiently so that a lot of the land that they have that's wasting away will be tractorized and will have improved food production. I talked about the fact that when tomato was very expensive, the Federal University of in Abeokuta, Federal University of Agriculture in Abeokuta, it coincides with the time when their students were rounding up their practicals. And a lot of, they have these farms, tomato farms, by students. It was harvest time. There's no way the university community can eat all of what they have produced. They have to push it into the market in Abeokuta, and prices came down. So if it was rice that they grew like that, if it was cassava, it's the same way that they will help to bring down food prices. It's the same way. Cassava, for example, if you produce cassava in large numbers, if you produce palm fruit in ample quantity, it's the immediate environment, the university community, they are the ones who benefit the most from it. If you grow buds, you know, from your poultry in the university, it is the immediate environment.
That will.
Yes, of course, you can also have deals with some eateries here and there who have partnership with you, encourage you to grow more of those things, while they will buy at good prices.
Well, you know, he just mentioned something. He just mentioned cassava. Remember the mad cow disease when it broke out in Europe? Do you know it is the cyanide in cassava that put an end to it, and it gave Abia State a lot of room to go into cassava plantation. That's the idea.
Yes.
You know.
So there is a lot that the universities can do in many areas. That will benefit the larger society. But of course, they need good funding and they need to be focused.
All right. You know, so the Benin exercise is essentially an eye-opener.
Yes, it is. And I was very impressed with the crowd. And I was asking the VC public, I said, they do pay these people? Because it's only in public gatherings that I see that of crowd. I've given lectures in so many places. Well, I was impressed because the hall was packed. And I'm like, this is unusual for this kind of event, just to listen to a lecture.
Okay.
Elsewhere, if it's not politicians, you know, they will not see them come. And they were patient. They waited for hours.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the debate continues. So we can borrow a leaf, as we say. That's the essence of issues we interrogate here. Okay, to our next story. You know, a timeless quote credited to the 16th American president, Abraham Lincoln, says, quote, "The best way to create the future is to invent it." You know, the quote is a call to action. The governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani, has established Nigeria's lithium processing plant at Kangemi village along the Kaduna-Jos road. The company has a daily production capacity of 30,000 tons. Kaduna State, I must tell you, with about 70 mineral resources, is the hub of solid minerals in the country. It has an abundance of lithium, gold, tin, coltan, and wolframite. We can create the future indeed, don't you think?
Yes, we can. And you see, God has so blessed some parts of our country. And we have no reason to be living like poor people.
Oh yeah, beggarly lives.
I tell you, you know, Kaduna, Niger, Zamfara, Kebbi, they were all part of the old northwestern states.
Okay, okay.
Yes, yeah. And they are contiguous states. That's why even banditry has been difficult to tame, because the forests of Kaduna, the forests of Niger, they link one another. So those boys can ride on motorcycles, kidnap people in Niger, like as it happened in Tegina when they kidnapped those Quranic students.
Yeah.
It was Zamfara that they took them to. You can imagine, all the way from Kaduna, all the way from Niger. Tegina is in Niger State. You kidnap people in Rafi local government in Niger State, and all the way to Kaduna, all the way to Zamfara. So
using the forests.
Yes, yes, and they are familiar with the forest. A lot of these places they use are cattle routes. So now you have gold. Some of the best gold in the world is in Briningwari, where the insecurity has blunted the potential of
of taking advantage
of even that community and the state. In Briningwari, you cannot use your phone. You can't call people. It's a waste of time trying to call, because the base stations have been destroyed.
Wow.
When people want to use phone, they'll go and climb the hill and try to use. It's not as if they told me, I went there and I saw these things.
Okay.
The base stations have been destroyed. Banks have been destroyed. So people go around carrying cash. They want to buy maybe 50 cattle. You must carry the cash.
Wow.
Because you cannot transfer money in Briningwari. So, but the point I want to make is Briningwari has some of the best gold in the world. Some of the purest streak of gold that you can think of.
Untapped.
Is there.
Yeah.
Is there. Now, Briningwari, right up to Zamfara and some parts of Kebbi, the gold is like the gold belt.
Okay.
In Zamfara, for example, on a particular day, rain fell. You know, in Osun State, in Elisha, you have to dig. You dig sometimes to 80 meters before you can find gold. In Zamfara, when rain falls, sometimes the outer surface is washed away. You start seeing gold. People will run and start parking. There was the particular video. The governor had to send. Matawale was governor. He had to send security to go and chase them away because people were freely parking.
That's it.
In Matawale's hometown, in his own town, there is abundant lithium.
And lithium.
Maradon. It comes from a town called Maradon.
Okay.
There is abundant of lithium. They don't even need to to work their socks off before they can access lithium. This is how blessed these whole areas are.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know that these grapes,
yeah,
that you see them sell in traffic, that is grown in South Africa and all those places, do you know that we have it in Kaduna? And for very good quality in Kaduna.
And take that to the Middle Belt region, you know.
Kudan.
Yeah.
Kudan. There's a place called Kudan.
Okay.
Kudan. You have grapes. So what this governor, what Obasani has done is to try to exploit what we have. He traveled abroad, had a partnership with some foreign partners who have now come to set up a lithium plant. It takes one person to start it. From there, you really need the lithium plant. We need it. Lithium now. Do you know how expensive lithium is?
I'm told it's
lithium batteries. Do you know how expensive they are?
Very, very
if
crucial.
If you want to do solar now,
yeah,
and they will tell you the best you can use are lithium batteries. They cost a fortune.
Are you telling me?
They cost a fortune. All of this, the airplanes that we fly in, they use lithium batteries. So it's like we are so blessed as a country, we don't even know what we are doing. We don't know what we are doing.
More like you are in water and you are complaining of soap in your eyes.
So what is the purpose of the water if you can't use it to... So that is it. You know, Coco said in Things Fall Apart. I'm sure some of us we will remember that quote where he said, I'm holding a feast because I have the wherewithal. I can't live near the bank of the river and wash my hand with spittle. Coco, that's what he said. And you know, there's so much wisdom there.
Oh, yeah.
How can you live near the bank of the river and wash your hand with spittle? That's all.
How do you explain it?
So this is now what he has set up. It's a real game changer. I know that can give me. There's a dam there.
Okay.
They have a very big tomato farm in that place, and it's that dam that they use to do controlled irrigation. The drip irrigation method that the Israelis invented. That's what is being used there. I've gone there to do some stories. So this governor is trying to take full advantage of what is available instead of just allowing this thing to waste and for outlaws to go and be exploring them illegally.
Wale, what more? Need I say more?
This is quite impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Because some of the things that I think governors can do is to leave a legacy that will last for ages. It's good to build roads. It's good to build lock-up shops.
Yeah.
But those things will fizzle away after some time. But when you build industry, just within how many years that he became the governor of Kaduna State, this industry is going to employ a lot of people.
Yeah.
Primary workers, secondary workers.
Yeah.
The livelihood of a lot of people will change.
Yeah.
And you know, lithium is one of these in highest demand all over the world.
Yes.
Apart from lithium battery, you also use it to produce ceramics. And then also for additives, for iron and steel. So it has a lot of uses, that I think the global demand is huge.
Yeah.
And Nigeria is very rich in mineral resources. Maybe after Congo, Nigeria should be the next in Africa.
Yeah.
Australia realizes $455 billion every year from solid minerals. I think it's the richest in terms of solid minerals. But here, we have left our solid minerals to bandits, to the unorganized sector, ungoverned sector.
Yeah.
So what the governor has done,
non-state actors,
significant in so many ways.
Non-state, yeah.
He has also reached out to these illegal miners. He's going to organize them into cooperatives. It will make it very easy for the governor to monitor them.
Yeah,
it will make it very easy to track them, to ensure that they practice their trade in line with global best practices.
Yeah.
So, and it's also going to reduce banditry. People whose major source of funding. Because if you have people in cooperatives, you can track their funding. You can track who is making more and where that money is going.
Yeah.
And also he has drawn out maybe the first in the country that I've seen, a kind of a master plan for climate change. Because mineral exploitation also has a lot of impact of climate change.
Climate,
so if you are talking about exploitation of mineral, we must also have a plan for the consequences on the environment.
Yes.
So I'm quite glad. In fact, I think some few weeks ago, they gave out 400 stoves, to women, so that people will be less dependent on wood, firewood. So they have a whole lot of very impressive plan that is tied up to this initiative. So I'm happy for the governor. I'm happy for the people of Kaduna State.
Wally, do you know, I hope I can rub this in.
Yeah.
Do you know, I cannot wait for the day Ondo State will take advantage of bitumen.
Exactly.
And begin to export.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the greatest asset is ability to think creatively. It's not when you have the whole money in this world. So I think the governor is bringing back, Kaduna as an industrial hub that it used to be in those days. So it's a great thing. Less than 2 years in power, we have seen this happen. So I'm really impressed, and the partnership with...
And the state is a champion in agriculture as well. The way farmers have been empowered in Kaduna State, I've not seen it anywhere. And the Kaduna's farmers are the richest in the country. And it shows. Those going on Hajj, for example, Kaduna refused to subsidize Hajj. Yet, the highest number of people going to Hajj in Nigeria are from Kaduna State, and they are farmers. You can imagine one farmer sending up to 10 people to Hajj. Do you know how much it costs? Almost 10 million per head. And he's sending up to 10 people. One farmer from 3 crops. Wow. You saw my story. One farmer from 3 crops making about 1.4 billion.
I remember.
So, and what is it? The president assisted the governor, gave him fertilizer in excess of 9 billion, water in excess of 9 billion, and look at the changes that has caused. Today, Kaduna is top for maize production, top for tomato production, top for rice production.
Yeah.
So, even pepper and grapes.
Well, can you think of the middle belt here?
Yeah.
Benue Plateau.
Sure. Benue,
fruits Plateau, and what have you.
Yeah. I think I believe he has started something that is really going to bring back the glory of the middle belt.
No part of Kaduna is seen as middle belt too. Yes, Southern Kaduna.
Yes. Yeah, but it's...
And they have the best ginger in the world.
Kaduna State.
Kaduna has the best ginger in the world.
So who says we cannot get back there? We can.
We can.
No, we can get there and remain.
The right people
can. Yes.
Yeah. We can.
Okay then, folks, let's get to our next story. The chairman of the conglomerate BUA Group, Alhaji Abdul Samad Rabiu, is full of praise for President Tinubu's foresight in introducing duty waiver for essential food items last year. The Kano-born industrialist was briefing State House correspondents on Thursday after a meeting with Mr. President. According to him, the intervention of the president has resulted in a crash of commodity prices. A bag of rice now sells for 60,000 from 100. Alhaji Samad has keyed into the policy in order to enhance it.
Yeah, it's
still in continuation of what we are saying.
Sure. Rice is I think I'm right to say that it's the most common household food in Nigeria. And once you increase the price of rice, every person, both the rich and the poor.
And to think that we have close to 30 varieties.
Yes, will be affected. So I was so worried when the price was going to 120 beyond and all that, and I never knew something could be done that would bring down the price so suddenly. So I think this is quite impressive. A bag of rice a few months ago was about 120,000 naira. Now you are talking about 60,000 naira.
Yes.
So I think it's quite impressive. And just initiative, of the president by removal of import duties on certain items, wheat, rice, that are very essential. And we have seen the impact, which I think is quite commendable. And you also know that one of the causes of the skyrocketing prices of foodstuff is people who had some of this, they had it and wait until when there's scarcity, then,
to make a kill.
Yes, decline in local production. So I believe that if you can tackle this hoarding and then the decline in local production, if states can invest more in agriculture, I believe it's going to have a spiral, impact, effect on all the other agricultural products of the country.
Yeah.
States needs to go more into agriculture, and then our banks, private sector, they should also partner with states. They should invest in agriculture. It's in their own interest, because when there's stability, you can do your business very well. But if there's no stability, there is chaos, there is violence, there is public uprising. There is no way, the banking sector or the corporate world will also not be affected at the end of the day. So the people should not just be declaring profit, trillions of naira, billions of naira every year. There's the need for government, corporate organizations, especially banks, to also invest in agriculture. If they are doing that, they are not doing enough. We want to see the impact. And also local government and state government, everything should not be just be left for the federal government alone. Yeah. So what has happened is a very important step towards deduction of food, a major food item. And I believe the government can still do more.
Yeah. Because, so now you see the best way to create the future is to invent it.
Yes.
Because you have the way.
It doesn't take extraordinary efforts to invent the future. It just takes good thinking, and taking the right steps at the right time. We cannot just fold our arms and watch saboteurs do to us what they like. Government has done a lot to assist farmers, including commercial farmers, to ramp up production. Government came up with the anchor borrower scheme. At the end of the day, some of the money was diverted. It's one of the worst loan schemes in Nigerian history in terms of the failure of the loanees to repay what they've taken from government. A good number of them diverted it. A good number of these people set up cooperatives just for the purpose of accessing the anchor borrower's loan. And they diverted the money. So it was such a terrible thing. Now, those who took money from government to improve agri-production, what many of them are doing to us is really, really unwholesome. They are ferrying produce across the border against the law. Because we have not reached that point when you can say we are producing rice in sufficient quantity. No. People talk about, Nigeria, we became #1 rice producer in Africa. It was because Egypt decided, because of their water issues, to discourage their people from growing rice and told them to grow wheat instead. Egypt was the leader. But they de-emphasized production of rice because rice needs plenty of water. And told their farmers and incentivized it for farmers to focus on wheat. That is how we were able to take over. We are not producing enough. Now, despite we are not producing enough, people, just to earn foreign exchange, because our currency is now weaker than the currencies of our neighbors, people are taking what they are producing across the border. Some time ago in Kaduna, when this problem was such a big one, rice was being ferried across the border in articulated trucks. The combination of EFCC, immigration, customs, they impounded these articulated trucks. Given the number of articulated trucks impounded, it drew the attention of the president. Because these people were screaming. Because, customs, they don't waste time. They will just simply, what's the word? They will fling it in inverted commas. Yes, they will auction it. And you, the owner, you've lost.
You've lost.
It's like they caught you with small goods. That's your loss. So the president intervened and said, okay, they can take these trucks back on the condition that they will be sold within Nigeria.
That's it.
Okay, so that dealt with that problem. But till today, people are still pushing agri-produce. All of these middlemen, wicked middlemen who are hoarding, they deliberately hoard. They will lock up They will go and buy off these local farmers.
Oh,
they will
yeah.
buy off produce from them and then go and lock them up to create scarcity.
Artificial
scarcity. To make us find it difficult to achieve food security. And when the prices go up uncontrollably, that's when they will start pushing these things out. So now, what did the president do? It was suggested to him that to bring down inflation and to help achieve food security, give waivers for some key
products,
food crops. Give waivers and cash crops. Sorry. The president decided to do that. Rice, wheat, maize, flour are among those affected. Today, my PA had this naming ceremony the other day. He bought rice for 59,000.
A bag.
A bag. This was what we were selling at 120 some months back. 59,000. I hear people on social media, those who do not wish well for Nigeria. Some of them are saying, it is only on social media that we see rice of 60,000. If you don't know where to get it, I'm a public figure. Contact me. We'll tell you where to go and buy. This thing has come down. People like Bua, people like Dangote, they are into food production and they are saying yes, they are happy now. That thanks to the president's intervention, wheat that used to be, I think, 80,000. Maize, maize is now 30,000 from 60,000. This is a significant...
A 50 kilogram bag.
A bag of flour that was 80,000 is now 55,000. That's Abdul Samad Karabiu, saying this. And he said that the Rice Millers Association have now taking steps to address hoarding. Those who are hoarding, they are lamenting. Even the Buaman said it. That they are lamenting now. You've hoarded rice for so long. People will come and tell you, Jide, this is not good. It's going to hurt our local farmers. But if local farmers and middlemen are conspiring to make life difficult for us, and they've appealed to them, and they won't stop hoarding, but they will join other people to say, food is expensive, and they blame government. Government reserves the right to do whatever it thinks is necessary to bring down food prices. If Lagos, if the gigantic rice mill that Lagos built in Imota, if it had not been too big to the point that we can't find sufficient paddy to kick it off, because you need a quantum of paddy. Perhaps the size of a vessel before you can even ramp up, kick off production. So if government will permit Lagos to import paddy, honestly, I'm telling you, this price of rice will further go down. Because the imported rice is cheaper than the local rice. That is a fact. It's way cheaper. And those who are saying, bring it back to 7,000 when what's his name? When Jonathan was there, they must remember that what they were selling at 7,000 at that time were imported rice. Some of them had been in warehouses in Thailand for up to 10 years. In their country, they feed it to their livestock and other things. That's what they are sending here.
And so whenever they talk about rice, 7,000 a bag in Jonathan's time, I take them back to late Sani Abacha's time. BKO 500 naira per bag. This is I'm not talking about license.
The currency has suffered a big decline since that time.
Why did it rise? Because we dropped the ball. The currency is the major.
And I'm happy that from Obasanjo's time, from the time of Akinwumi, we began to build integrated rice farms. We began to produce rice on our own.
When Akinwumi was in charge of agriculture.
Now we have Nigerian rice mills that the quality can compare, if not better than some of what we import. No stones, the high quality rice being produced by our own millers here. So there has been a lot of improvement in the area of local rice milling in our country. So much better than the Jonathan era that they are talking about, because at that time we were depending wholly on importation.
Imported, right.
We didn't really care
when
about
we had
local production.
Local species,
There's no excuse why we should not be able to produce rice. Just 105 to 150 days from planting to harvesting.
Yes.
So, even maize.
So it can be grown 3 times a year.
Yeah.
It can.
80 days to 110 days for maize. And wheat, 90 to 100 days. So we have no excuse. We have the land. Like I said, we have to stop giving loans to politicians. People just organize themselves and, they are in the name of, they will get the money and go and buy cars. They are not going to farming. So we must relate more with the associations. That was why the Association of Rice, were able to buy form for a president aspirant, the former governor of, what should be the business of such people? So will you expect them to pay back when they have already given some
spend the money to buy form?
All right, folks, let the debate continue. But
I think let's add that Mr. President should also consider doing this for the pharmaceutical sector too.
Okay,
drugs are very expensive.
Very expensive.
If they can bring waiver for the pharmaceutical sector, it will drive down prices of essential drugs, especially for people managing ailments like hypertension,
malaria,
kidney disorders and all that.
Okay, folks, let the debate continue. But the happy news is that prices of foodstuff are getting down and can get down further if we think straight. Okay, we'll go on a commercial break, but we should be back very shortly. Stay with us.
And cable, great quality, now with the new look.
All right, folks, welcome back. It's still Journalist Hangout. And our next story. The Nigeria First agenda is a policy designed by the federal government and is aimed at placing Nigerians at the heart of all business and economic activities, whereby local industries would take precedence in all procurement processes. The big idea is to reduce the nation's perpetual overdependence on imported goods. It is in this light, therefore, that the National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC, has applauded Nigeria's first policy. Its current DG, Oluwemimo Joseph Osanikmi, I hope I got that right, commends the policy, says it will drive patronage for made-in-Nigeria goods. Brother Adewale.
Yeah, I think I agree with that initiative. We should walk the talk.
Okay.
And where there's no culture, at least you can rely on experience. In 1975, we had the Volkswagen industry that was set up in Nigeria. Then we also have Peugeot. I think Volkswagen was in Lagos. And then
Peugeot Kaduna. And you had Anamco.
Yeah.
Anamco,
Enugu. Producing about 240.
Yeah.
So, and I think in later years, we produced some buses called Burem. That was around 1980 something. Burem, which was 80% locally made products.
Please also add ISO glass.
Yeah.
Michelin tire, Dunlop tire.
Yes. So those
Oluwa glass.
are selling tires, selling cars to us. If we continue to depend on them, they will never want us to develop as a country. On our own. And you don't blame them. Every country has its own strategic interest. This is their own interest for you to keep on coming to them to buy, their produce. So it is time for Nigeria. We have the market with about 200 million people, not just in Nigeria, but in the entire West African country. Thank goodness that in the whole of West Africa, we don't have a major country that's known for manufacturing, automobile. So the market is still there for us, not just in West Africa, but also in Nigeria. I believe we can do it. And even in the area of military, we are, manufacturing military automobiles. Proforce and many other companies like that. I think about 3 of them. So there is no reason why we cannot use the same technology to produce automobiles, except that our leaders, they should not just be telling us that we should patronize. They should also patronize. With a few exceptions.
Especially those senators. Every time it's Prado that they come for.
With a few exceptions where you need custom designed, for instance, the president of the country.
I like what the governor of Anambra did. Went for what's the name? The local Innocent Motors.
So you will discover that if we're able to patronize local industry, it's going to improve the domestic economy. It's going to create more jobs. It's going to improve Nigerian economy.
Open this
globally.
space.
If you are not buying your own products, how will you expect people in Togo, in Ghana to come and buy your products? So I think it's a very good thing, and I think it's good that they are going to make it a constitutional issue. Our ministries that will go to Japan and inspect factories and then buy vehicles from Japan, from Europe, we should buy locally made products. If we do that, I can tell you that in the next 2-3 years, Lagos will also go into manufacturing of individuals and corporate organizations. We're also going to manufacture to meet local demand. So this is a very impressive step forward.
What you said about meeting local demand is very critical. One thing that can discourage people from helping this to succeed is when those companies do not have capacity to produce
to meet demands.
I will give the example what happened with the governor of Abia State. He wanted all the vehicles, that the state will be using, either for his convoy and their ministries, the agencies and parastatals to come from Innocent. He made up his mind. He announced it. Suddenly, Nigerians saw that, he's gone for Toyota and all that. And people were attacking him, attacking the governor.
Are you surprised?
They didn't know why. Because Nigerians sometimes, out of ignorance, they will just be saying what they like.
Yes.
So, his spokesman now came up to say, no, this was what we asked for. But Innocent couldn't meet our demand. Innocent did not have enough units to meet the demand that we asked for at that time. We had no choice but to now go and bring in all those Toyotas and all that. But for the people who did not know, who are abusing them and saying, they do not put Nigeria first, they did not want to help a Nigerian company to succeed. They didn't know that Innocent didn't have enough to meet that demand at that time. There was also a disagreement between Innocent and Imo State. The governor said, what you do for me, you set up a service center in my state. We'll buy from you. And they did a deal in running into billions of naira. But they did not set up that service center. And the man knows that the more you use these vehicles on convoy, these vehicles that are being used for security patrol, the wear and tear will need replacement of parts and all that. That was why he said, no, come and set up a service center here so that when we have issues, they will just go there at the service center, those issues will be. I don't want to go deep into this because I know that both leaders came together. The governor refused to pay the balance, but they came together at some point and the governor agreed that, okay, let's resolve this issue. But the point I'm making is, those companies, I know that Nord, for example, does very good cars, just like Innocent. I've seen some of their Jeeps, even at Unilag. I saw NORD. I saw one of their Jeeps. I couldn't believe that it was a Nigerian car. You know? So, but there is need to support them to meet capacity. Because it takes time to build. I've done some stories for Proforce, for example. Many Nigerians didn't know Proforce was there before I did a documentary. It takes time to build one MRAP, the mine resistance and ambush protected vehicle. Is 5 meters high. They use it in the thick of battle. It offers protection to troops because you fire at it, it will not penetrate. Yeah. And even if you fire at the tire, it can still, it's a round flat tire that they use, they can still move for some kilometers. For no less than 50, 60 kilometers from that area where it was shot, so that at least you take the people away from
to safety.
Yes. So, but it takes time. Capacity has to be expanded for people to be able to produce more. They will need support of government. They will need credit from banks. Credit that will not turn out to be injurious. You know, we talk about PPP as alternative to government just bringing money to build roads, to do this. But the companies also need to approach the banks. If you give them loans at commercial rate, it defeats the purpose.
That's it.
Because they won't be able to execute that contract at the time. So there's a need for some policies to also come in. I'm happy that the National Assembly came up with this, but I just hope that this is not just meant to titillate us unnecessary. So because they are the ones who use luxury goods, luxury items, luxury vehicles automobiles from outside of the country. Will they agree, for example, to say, okay, Senate, the next 2 years' time, when a new set of lawmakers come in, we are going to use Jeeps
made in Nigeria.
Jeeps from Innocent or Jeeps from North and others. Because it's possible. Look at the money, that kind of money that they spend on those their Jeeps. Each of those Jeeps is in excess of 100 million that they buy them. Now, if all of that money helping to build the economy of other countries, if we can keep the money here, even the hunger for the dollar will be able to address it.
Wale, are you in any way querulous about what President Trump did with his America First policy? You know, taking it from here.
You see, for me, I think because we are not Americans, so it's not likely that we agree with him because we want something that will benefit us. But the truth of the matter is that you can't take it away from the fact that President of America is thinking of his own people first. So if someone is thinking of his own people first, then we too should think of initiatives that will put the interests of our people as the most important thing. You see, and when we are talking about car manufacturing, it shows that, you know, we are talking about US doing that today now. In the future, because of the rise in far-right groups, even in Europe, Britain can do the same thing. Germany can do the same thing. You know, France can do the same thing, depending on who emerges as the leader of these countries in the future. So what President Trump is telling us is that, look, you have to begin to look inwards, think of your future, and to be less dependent. Of course, no country can be self-sufficient. But don't build a country where everything is dependent on other countries. When Japan started, you know, in the post-war era to build cars, the primary thing was to focus on Japanese. And that's why they emphasize fuel efficiency and affordable cars that ordinary people could afford. Today, the first car they manufactured in Japan was called Takuri. But from Takuri, they moved to Honda, to Japan, to Toyota. And now today, Japan is a big market for automobile. It's not that we're going to start one day and then there's going to be a boom. It has to be gradually. So I think that I believe what government has said, we need to walk the talk. We need to ensure that, we practicalize it. The government officials must show good examples, and also we need to encourage the existing manufacturers. I think there are just 3 of them. We have Dana, we have Nord, and then we have Innocent. So more should come on board so that we'll be able to meet the rising local demand.
As they say, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Again, let the debate continue. We'll go to our next story. For the JAM, Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, a Nigerian Entrance Examination Board for tertiary level institutions, these are trying days, especially in the aftermath of the UTME glitch. A bogus claim that the irregularity was targeted at candidates from the Southeast region has prompted the spokesman of JAM, Fabian Benjamin, to dismiss the claim and stress that it had nothing to do with ethnicity. Meanwhile, the rector of the Yaba College of Technology, Dr. Ibrahim Abdul, has thrown his weight behind the registrar of JAM, Professor Ishaq Oloede, amid ongoing challenges of the body. While commending the transparency and leadership style of the JAM boss, the rector has called for a stronger collaboration among education stakeholders to fortify the examination system. BKO.
Yeah, I think that Professor Oloede needs to be commended for the way he accepted responsibility.
Yeah.
And some people called his tears crocodile tears. But it's unfortunate that people will see that as crocodile tears. The man felt for the students. Even if one student is affected by this glitch, it is bad enough. People who say that, it was targeted at the Southeast, it's unfortunate that they are thinking in this manner. The number of students affected in Lagos is more than the number of students affected in the entire Southeast.
The totality of it.
Yes. This thing, I have friends whose children were affected, for example. So people imagine that, it's a Yoruba conspiracy against the Igbos. I think that the Igbos and the Yorubas, especially on social media, they need to stop the shameful baiting of one another that they are doing. You see today, anything that that happens, the Igbo man sees himself as being in contest with the Yoruba man. It's the same attitude that the Yoruba man has. He's already seeing the Igbo man as a threat. And these are people who have lived together for years.
Not as a part. Yeah.
So it makes no sense. So once this happened, we started saying, it's targeted against the... Whereas, you go to northern Nigeria, go to a state like Kano, for example, where this glitch did not happen.
Yeah.
Go to Kaduna, where this glitch did not happen. Go to Plateau State, where this glitch did not happen. A significant portion of the population is Igbo. And a significant...
Interestingly.
Yes. Zik won in Plateau State in 1979. In fact, the governorship election was won by Zik's party, NPP.
NPP at the time.
Solomon La. So the Igbos have a tremendous population in Plateau State, to the point that a party that they support can win election in the state. And we've seen it. We see even in the last election, we saw how Labour Party performed in the presidential election in Plateau State. They won easily. So what I'm saying is, in those places where we didn't even have the glitch, those northern states especially, significant candidates of Igbo extraction took part in the election, in the exam, and they benefited. Now, if this thing affected Lagos State, and the people affected in Lagos State are higher in number than those affected in the 5 southeast states. Why should anybody think that, oh, this is simply about Lagos? I mean, about the southeast. People can complain that this shouldn't have happened, but we shouldn't go to the point of now impugning ethnicity to something that even in the US, the SAT examination held on March 9 also suffered similar glitch. People could not upload the answers. And this was what happened, what happened in Nigeria. That was what happened. Students, after solving an equation, for example, would not be able to upload the answer. That problem was the problem of JAMB's contractors. But Oloyede decided to take responsibility.
That's it.
We don't even know the ethnicity of the contractor. We don't know. At the end of the day, when this thing happened, it happened with the ACT exam of US in the month of April. Nobody resigned. They just decided they organized a fresh exam for them. That's the standard practice. They organized a fresh exam. That was what they did in March when it happened with their SAT exam. That was what they did when it happened with their ACT exam. In 2 months, public examinations in America, in 2 months, back to back, they had, it wasn't even up to 2 months, they had glitches. Nobody said, it's his ethnicity, oh, they don't like my tribe. Nobody said, the head of the exam body must go. They merely, they kept their jobs. What of NASA? NASA, NASA is the peak of technology now.
Oh, yeah.
But we had what happened with the Challenger. NASA, the whole world was shocked.
Oh, yeah.
Technology does not offer you perfection. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And if it happens, we just have to accept it and then see what we can do to improve things. Not to be dividing ourselves. We should be ashamed of ourselves the way we divide ourselves over this thing. So when it happened in Illinois, Chicago, in the US, nobody said, oh, it's targeted at blacks. Everybody accepted it. Even there's no state in Nigeria that has only people of one ethnicity.
Oh, yeah.
Go to Umwa here. You see significant Hausa Fulani population.
Oh, yeah.
And if they have children, those children will be part of that exam. That's why I gave the example of Kano and all those people. A good number of the people who sat for JAMB in those places were actually from the southeast. JAMB has to perfect its quality assurance module.
Yeah.
Ensure that this sort of thing does not happen again. But we cannot build a good nation when even people that we respect, educated people, will not wait for investigation to be done. They will now say, oh, it's ethnicity. They hate us now. Have you watched Osita Chidoka? Osita Chidoka is an education stakeholder. Look at the way he explained what happened.
Yeah. Okay,
Look at the way, yes, he did not go into this emotional outburst and all that. He explained that this can happen, and he gave the NASA example. And he too said, you, JAMB, do your best. Next time, this kind of contractors who embarrass you in this way, you have to fire them. Send them packing. It's as simple as that.
Okay, Wale, you know, we must not take anything away from Professor Oyede. Because before his coming, we used to have a Professor Dibo Ojenide, and the news from JAM was Dibu Ojenide. So, but he came and turned the tide. And so people, because of this, people are asking for his head.
Well, I think, first of all, we need to look at these issues in context. The reality is that Nigerians are divided along religious and ethnic lines. It's not their fault. It is because of the kind of system we have run over the years.
It has become a fault line we are living
in our system. So it's a challenge for the government that we need to build trust among ourselves. When you are talking about Igbo and Yoruba people, they are one of the most integrated in this country. Forget about these people on social media. On Fridays, as journalists, we visit, go to drinking joints, come and see Igbo and Yoruba people. you won't see the difference. In churches,
yapping themselves.
In churches, you won't notice the difference. In the workplaces, you see an Igbo man, you see a Yoruba man. You know one interesting thing, which is a story I'm actually trying to do. When you go to Alaba, you see a lot of people own shops. Orile, they employ Yoruba as their cashier.
Okay.
A lot of them. Go to Mushin, you see Yoruba shop, you see Igbo shop. You understand the point? So we have tried all along on our own to build mutual relationship. But a lot of things that are happening that is trying to destroy this, historic relationship between Igbo and Yoruba people. So I know a lot of Igbo people that even name, Azikiwe has a Yoruba name. He even named one of his first sons, Ayodele, a Yoruba name. So it has always been there for a very long time. And it's better for us to keep this, relationship in our own interest. So I think those that are complaining and all that, really ethnic meaning, is based on the situation in the country. But I ask myself, is it real? I don't think it was motivated by ethnic interest. For instance, in the board management team, we have Mr. Chidebe Adindu Achune. We have Mrs. Gloria Anyebu. We have Mrs. Linda Ajanwachuku. Then we have Fabian Benjamin. And one person, I think from Cross River, Mrs. Villa Pius. So JAB is not an association where the professor will take decision alone. There is a management team where all of them will come together and work out the details.
There's a
pan-Nigerian
team.
And we have the CBT, that is all the 36 states. 90% of those who work at the CBT are indigenous of those states. So I think there's no evidence. Even though I agree that Nigeria is divided, there are people that are marginalized, there's a problem with self-determination. But I think in this issue, I don't think there's it's not possible for the registrar alone to act alone and then subject the whole thing to
because it doesn't help anybody.
Even Fabian Benjamin has explained that it's a service provider that dropped the ball. And that service provider is not JAM staff. So even when we are blaming, that's why people like Osita Chidoka, because they sat down. When JAM quickly called stakeholders, they sat down and they look at the exam state by state. Because they too were already worried that states that used to be in the top 10 were the ones badly affected. They knew something was wrong. They were already thinking of what to do. By the time they called those stakeholders from Educare, the Osita Chidokas of this world, VCs of universities, they identified the problem. The important thing is, setbacks will happen. But when setbacks happen, how do you respond? You will suffer setback in life. It's a fact of life. Things will not always go smooth because we are not perfect. God never created us as perfect people. So the moment they identified that problem, those 6 focus states were then set aside to say, okay, we didn't have issues with other states. Complaints, no, not from those states. Mass failure was not the reason for this. Mass failure, as always, because some people are saying, oh, mass failure. No, mass failure, the mass failure we have, we've always had a situation in which 76% of people who sit for JAM don't score up to 200. That is a problem that has always been there. In this case, 78%. So it's not even far away from the record. We have a problem with people failing. We have to address that from the root. Whether it's the quality of instruction, it's the quality of teachers that we have and all that. Why are they always failing English? Even this one, some of the most excellent students, they didn't do particularly well in English. I know a boy who scored 98, 98, 98 in physics, chemistry, biology, but he got to English, he scored 70. You know, my own son scored 68 in English, which I can't be proud of. I expected at least to be higher than that. So, but English generally gave people problems in this exam. So we have to try to interrogate those issues. How do we get candidates to improve? We can't keep having 1.9 million seats for an exam. And only about 15% will score up to 200. My own concern is much more than that, all this, because it shows that we are going down. We are going down.
Tells you it's a two-way street. Parents must be involved. I remember in my time, I couldn't take red ink home, BKO. Every red ink in my exercise book attracted a cane.
Sure.
And so I ensured that...
There's no doubt that there's a need for reforms for JAMB. For instance, when you ask people to pick one university, just limiting them to 3 universities, whereas in other countries, you can pick as many as 50 universities. And there are 2 bodies, South and East City, in the US, for instance. So we need to look at all this, that if you score 300 this year, and then next year you score 180, does it mean that 300 you cannot use it to go into university?
I think that should still be valid maybe for 3 years.
Yes, it is wrong. And then they have 180 questions for 4 subjects. That means you have an average of less than 1 minute for one question. So a student under stress. My child was affected by this, and she, took the thing again on Saturday. I was there, and I noticed there are some challenges. They were supposed to start by 6:30. Why do you need to freeze, the time for 6:30 a.m.? And I saw the
whole idea is for people to get there on time.
Yeah, on time.
I don't think anybody will want people to start exam at 6:30.
Yeah, they got there, but it's too early, especially for children who need to come on their own.
Yeah,
given the circumstances. So I think there is a lot of reforms that needs to be carried out. When you are talking about JAMB.
Okay, then. What we do here, we provoke debate. The debate, we have provoked this one. Let the debate continue in your part of town. But we have attempted to give context and clarity to the subject matter. Now to our next story. The terror gang, Boko Haram, began like a boys' plaything at Maiduguri in 2002. And today it has become a monster. In the past 24 hours, army bases in Borno State, especially at the capital city, Maiduguri, have been attacked. The fear of a comeback by these merchants of death is palpable, thereby escalating concerns about more disruptions. The choice is now, which is to call the bluff of this terror gang.
Yes, and it's something that we need to do quickly. I'm worried. I'm really worried. The worst that can happen is for us to go back to the way things were around 2013, 2014, when Boko Haram was declaring its caliphate.
Okay.
And taking over communities and imposing their own rules in those communities. They came, the first place they went to was Goza. They declared the caliphate in Goza and moved to Damboa, and also declared that Damboa had become their own. And within a short time, they were expanding across the northeast region. In Adamawa State alone, they had 7 local governments to themselves.
Okay.
More than 17 local governments to themselves in Borno State. And they went to Yobe, 2 local governments they had to themselves. We don't want that kind of situation where every time you hear that this attack has happened. And what we've seen in the last few, this thing degenerated around October. So between October and March.
2024.
Yes, last year. Between October and March, we've seen more than 150 attacks. A lot of these things don't get reported. And we've seen our soldiers killed in dozens. Our military bases taken over. What we used to see then, whereby the boys approach a military base and you hear that the base has fallen, is now very common. The soldiers must be ready to fight. Yes. There is a lot of sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
But it demoralizes not just soldiers, but the Nigerian people. When you hear that, another military base has fallen, and the chief of army staff must do something quickly. We can't continue to have that situation. These kind of people shouldn't be taking over military bases. It makes no sense. How do we convince our people that we are in position to defend them? When Boko Haram, within a short time, on May 12th, they attacked the military base in Marte. That was the one that they even showed corpses and all that.
Okay.
Then less than 24 hours after, they attacked more bases in Dikwa Ran. That is along the border with Cameroon. and Gajiram, so that they had the audacity within 24 hours to attack 3 other bases. After what they did in Marte is something that is really, really troubling. And I believe that we get to the root of the matter. Now, they need more troops. They are complaining that they need more troops. They should send more troops to that area. I think that we prioritize the Northwest at a point when we felt that these guys had been decimated.
Yeah.
But as I've always warned on this program, until the final victory, we should never convince ourselves that the enemy is defeated.
All right, then. Yeah.
So the steps that we've taken to now pull away troops from here and take them to the Northwest, because you know the 2 defense ministers are from the Northwest and they want to show that they are working. I can understand if they pile pressure on the military. But we are seeing now that that has backfired. Because we've left part of Borno State undefended or not defended sufficiently.
Oh, yeah. Not sufficiently
Yes.
defended.
So if, when you move armaments to a place to secure that place, you leave your flanks open. You leave your flanks open. And that's why the governor said, oh, that their own defense was not being prioritized. That was the point that he made. I think it was in response to our beefing up security in the Northwest to the detriment of the Northeast. But these are issues now being addressed, and we expect results quickly.
Wale, you know, when you balance what he has just said with the fact that Boko Haram appears to be more
emboldened.
They are going nuclear, so to speak.
Yes, I think
we can call the bluff of these guys.
Yes, I think it's very unfortunate that this is happening in Borno, where we have a governor that is having sleepless nights.
Oh yeah.
To address the needs of his people, especially security. It's very unfortunate. But I think that what I see that is responsible for what looks like upsurge, in Boko Haram are so many factors. The first one is that the crisis between ISWAP and Boko Haram seems to have, reduced. So they now focus more on the Nigerian state instead of, the infighting between them that at the time they were killing each other. So there appears to be more collaboration with them. And they are coming together as one. It's definitely going to lead to increased funding from ISIS. And I also think that their access to sophisticated military drones, is a major plus for them and a disaster for us. And we also heard that ISIS experts are coming in to give them assistance. And there's no way the international global order will not affect, insurgency in Nigeria, especially the Palestine-Israeli conflict.
Yeah.
Because many of them are united all over the world, even arch enemies, because of this crisis, coming together, raising more funds to ensure that they spread their network. And I think the reduced cooperation between Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, because of the ECOWAS, is something we need to look at. Because we share borders with these countries.
Okay.
No matter who is in power in these countries, for the interest of West Africa, for the interest of Nigeria, we need to share intelligence. We need to cooperate militarily. And I think the other aspect, which I call the meaning, is the exploitation of this crisis for political reasons towards 2027. So that is left for the government to look at that, because I would have expected some of this, other people to see this as a national challenge. Not every time that there you make political capital out of it. Just because you think that there should be more crisis in order to justify, your coming to power to contest 2027 election. So there is a political aspect. I believe that the government can also do more in terms of intelligence gathering, share intelligence with these other countries, so that we can nip in the bud the source of funding and then the source of weapons that these extremists have access to.
Okay, so we are done with that subject matter. I'd rather we moved over to our next story. There's very little denying the profound sense of displacement and the challenges of starting anew in a foreign land. But that is a new reality. We can tell you that over 15,000 medical doctors have left our country in the last 7 years. The Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Ali Pate, broke the troubling news at Abuja on Tuesday at the 7th Annual Capacity Building Workshop of the Association of Medical Councils of Africa. The exodus has resulted in a choking doctor-to-population ratio of 3.9 per 10,000 citizens, below the global minimum. Are we drawing lessons from this, Wale?
Well, this is not a good picture, but I want to look at first of all, look at the silver lining. I think the step taken by the government to increase retirement age from 60 to 65 means that we are going to have more doctors than before. Because at 60, 65, I don't see people going abroad to go and work. So with this step taken by the government, I think that is a silver lining for us. And I also think that new tariffs for healthcare service providers, the new development, is going to, especially medical doctors that enter into private practice. And I also think the consolidated new salary package for doctors. I'm happy that the NMA, Nigeria Medical Association, have reached an agreement with the federal government to pay, this outstanding bill.
Yeah.
Nigeria still has one of the best medical doctors in the world. And even in terms of numerical strength, I think Nigeria is leading, maybe after us, Algeria, Egypt, and all that. So it's not as if there's lack of manpower. But the problem is, major problem is the working environment. How much do we pay medical doctors in Nigeria? You are talking about between 250 to 300, maybe where you are talking about consultant 500,000. Whereas if he goes to South Africa, he's going to earn about 1.5 million naira. If he goes to Europe, he's going to get about 5 million naira, in a month. If he goes to Saudi Arabia, he's going to be getting about 2 million naira in a month. So when you look at this, and doctors are in high demand all over the world. So the working environment, not just about the salary, but also as accessibility to modern equipment. Our union medical institutions, UCH, Ahmadu Bello University Teaching Hospital, Just Teaching Hospital, University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, that used to be citadels of medical expertise. If you go there now, loot, a lot of things have changed. So the environment where they are working, I had a cause to go to Bagada Hospital recently, and a doctor had to, to attend to about 18 people that had special problems. And each patient had to spend 2 hours with that expert. So you can imagine what happened. So they have to keep on adjourning the dates where they need to, the time they need to come and meet. When you are talking about specialists, Nigeria has, I think, just about 70 oncologists to attend to 230, million population.
No, all of us can't be sick at the same time.
Yeah, but then that number is very, when you are talking about gynecologists, maybe we just about 250 of them. So we need to do a lot to make our doctors to sit in Nigeria, and especially rural areas, to encourage them to go to rural areas. It's not just about Lagos, Ibadan, Kano. There are also people that, need medical access, medical care in rural areas. So we need to do a lot to improve our environment to be able to keep them at home to work in Nigeria.
Otherwise, BKO, he is saying we can, rescue or stop the exodus if we get it right at home.
Well, it's going to be tough. We are not the only country affected. Economic migration is alive and well across the world. There are many Americans who are going to learn Chinese so that they can work in China. Egypt has tried its best to stop. The way people want Nigerian doctors is the way they want Egyptian doctors as well. A lot of them are going to UAE, they are going to Qatar and all these places where people will offer them good money. So it's not our problem alone, but we should be worried because the number is going up. Just rush through so that we can go to the doctor that we invited to talk on the matter. In 2018, 1,551 doctors left Nigeria. The number increased in 2020 to 1,242 doctors. It could have been higher, but the global travel restrictions slowed down the number. However, the outflow resumed its upward trajectory in subsequent years, with 2,607 doctors migrating in 2021 and 2,900 in 2022. But then it dropped. The figure dropped in 2023 to 1,417 departures. But by 2024, we saw a record spike as 3,974 doctors left Nigeria, the highest figure in 2 decades. That's what happened in 2024. So we need to do something about it. We need to do something about it. And hopefully our guests will be able to provide insights.
Okay. Time to visit and talk with our guest, Professor Philip Njemanze is a professor of medicine.
Okay.
I greet you, Prof. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah. Welcome to Journalist Hangout.
Thank you. It's good to hang out with you today.
All right. So how do you open your account here?
Good. You got me on that one.
Okay, Prof, let's go.
Yeah. Yes, I think the discussion was quite illuminating, including what you discussed before. But you have to look back. You're just looking at the consequences of a policy that started way back before 2014. What you're looking at now in 2024 is the 10-year cumulation of a policy that started before 2014. You know, before 2014, there was a deliberate, and I mean deliberate, destruction of the health sector. What do I mean by that? Let me give you 2 major laws, or at least the first major law that was passed that started this process snowballing into what you are seeing now. So what you are seeing now is just the consequence. Now, in 2014, a law was passed that is called the National Health Act 24, signed by President Goodluck Jonathan, passed by the Ninth Assembly. Now, what happened? In that law, you have it stated in plain language, Section 48, that you can collect organs of Nigerians without consent. It is stated clearly. You say emergency, but it can collect organs of Nigerians without consent. Who do you think will do that? A Nigerian from Ogbomosho and his uncle from Ogbomosho will come to the hospital and he will collect an organ from his uncle without consent. It's not going to happen. No Nigerian doctor will do that. Nigerian doctors have a lot of high moral ground. They will not do it. And they know that this law exists. If you look at Section 51, for the very first time in human history of that National Health Act, it states clearly it is the director of the hospital who will say that the organ of a Nigerian should be taken and given to another person. The director, not the patient, not the recipient, not the relative. Where did you see that happen? It has never happened in the history of humanity. This is the most barbaric law. And you want Nigerians to practice medicine in such an environment? It's not going to happen. Do you know that in the law, after 2 years, from 2014 to 2016, all hospitals in Nigeria were supposed to be closed down. Why? Because they inserted a clause in that law that said all the hospitals must meet certificate of standard. What does that mean? The corridor has to be 6 foot wide. There has to be conduit wiring. There has to be 24-hour light, 20-hour water. Who can provide such an environment? Not the private hospital, not the mission hospital, not even the government hospital. Doctors are reading this law. They know that this law exists in the book, even though the Nigerian people don't know it. Now, do you think somebody who is just finished and is trying to start up a practice will know that that practice will have a future in this country when he knows such a law exists? Now, in that same law, it states that 2 weeks after the expiration of negotiation on any dispute in any government hospital, the minister is at will to sack everybody in that hospital and replace them with even foreign people hired from outside. It's stated in that law. Why would a person go to practice in the government hospital only for when he asks for any salary rate and will be fired? You see, the Nigerian populace do not know of the details of this barbaric national health, sponsored by Senator Okowa, passed by the Nigerian Senate, and passed by the International Assembly. These laws exist to this day. So if we know that such a thing, that means any doctor in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, being aware of what is happening, knows that the days of his practice are numbered.
No, but
even worse still.
Don't you think, Prof,
you are seeing,
beyond the law, don't you think that doctors here are not happy about the fact that they are not well paid and that the environment is not conducive for the expansion of knowledge and research?
Well, okay, you know, it is all a systematic, and this law is important. It's in the aspects of it because it's sponsored by an international cartel, as I mentioned in all of the other press interviews I've given. Now, but the other aspect of it is why is the government not investing? Why is there not a health bank? Why is there not zero interest loans given to doctors to establish hospitals and buy equipment? The equipment in America are not bought by individuals. It is all on grants or loans or low interest loans. Why can't you give 500 million to a Nigerian doctor to establish a practicing center? Why would he leave his 500 million or 2 billion naira investment and go to UK to be doing basically waiting for the next COVID, and he will be a victim of the infection that will happen there? He's not going to do that. So it was a systematic, deliberate attempt. This is the most criminal act ever done. And it was started way back during the time of President Goodluck Jonathan. And we warned them. The only thing that happened was that President Buhari actually suspended the implementation of the law. For the 8 years he was there, he actively prevented, but he didn't do the needful. The needful was to repeal that law, throw it out, so now when Nigerian doctors do anything, they will now know that they have a future in this country. You cannot have such a law and then you want everybody to be practicing. Who will be practicing? And then feeling the comfort. And this was done deliberately by international organ trafficking cartel.
All right.
So if the law were repealed today, are you saying that this will affect the
exodus?
The exodus in any way?
Very dramatically. One, what it will mean is that the Nigerian government will never have any other alternative than to invest in its health. You know what they are backing on now? No, there's some foreign people will come and open 260 hospitals, 5-star hospitals, but Nigerians will go there and die, while the foreigners will go there and collect organs.
Sure.
This is what the issue is.
Right.
And I think the press has not illuminated what the issues are. If you know what the issues are, that this is a life existing, it's not a matter of money alone. Yes, some young people might want to get a startup capital and they have to go to Qatar or somewhere else. And they are the ones coming here to poach these young people. The same cartel, because they don't want us to have our own doctors, only to import their mercenary doctors into this country, which is illegal.
All right.
And that is why we are saying that you should repeal this law, then open the area. What should you do? Then every health system must have 3 aspects. You must have the research arm, you must have the preventive arm, and you must have the therapeutic arm. Nigeria only has, in real terms, only one arm. Why? Why can't you have every year Why can't you have 500 billion invested in research? You have all these young boys and girls who are coming out of medical school, trooping into the research arm, obtaining research grant in millions, and then doing research in Nigeria. And with the very, very good level of preparedness of our doctors, you will see excellent research being published internationally. Yeah. And that is, we have told them that this is the path to go. All what they are doing, feeling that there's some mercenaries will come here and then develop healthcare, they can never do that. These are imperialists. They will never do that. They are only setting up hospitals, satellite hospitals, to harvest organs of Nigeria. We've said this and we've said, but pointing to the law as the main evidence.
Yeah, Prof, as we coast home, there must be a way out. Please share that with us.
Yeah. Yes, the way out is very simple. Let this be brought to the attention of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And he says, this law must go. Give the orders to the National Assembly. They repeal the law, and then he can organize a national conference where we will tell him to his face, I said, please, President Tinubu, look, organize a healthcare sector bank. So that healthcare sector will give zero interest loan. Give it to these doctors. You will see them all coming back from the UK to establish hospitals in Damaturu. That's what is going to happen.
Thank you.
They will do that
because
Prof. It is better in Nigeria than outside there. No matter how you think that is rosy. I spent 16 years abroad, so I know exactly the situation.
Thank you.
Which you find
Prof.
migrating.
Thank you, Professor Njamanze. You are the interviewer's delight. Thank you. My colleagues, my colleagues greet you.
Thank you.
The activist medical doctor.
Okay, folks, that will just about do it for the program today. We thank Professor Philip Njamanze, who guested there. He was talking about a way of stemming the exodus of medical doctors from my country. Wale BKO, if the grass were always greener on the other side, would there be a fence? I don't think you get the logic. Would they erect a fence?
Well,
should be a plain ground.
The more the merrier. They also need our people, because our people are brilliant.
Okay, yeah,
you know?
all right.
And I think the quality of medical education in Nigeria is also good.
Okay, yeah,
because they always survive there.
Okay, then we must apply the brakes here, but not before thanking the backroom boys who made it possible for you to hear us, and our colleague here, Adewale Adeoye. I thank you for coming. BKO, many thanks for your intervention.
Thank you.
And that's it. Don't forget to join us later tonight at 11:30 for a repeat broadcast of this show. But we resume the 5 o'clock regular show tomorrow. Join us then. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. Take care.
mo kàn lè rọ àwọn èèyàn pé kí wọ́n lọ ṣe nǹkan yẹn because gbogbo wa tá a ṣe à ń gbádùn ẹ̀ torí pé ó yàtọ̀ àwọn ọ̀gá wa náà kẹ̀dẹ̀ tí wọ́n ti ṣe sínú mọ́tò wọn gbogbo náà ń gbádùn ẹ̀ tí wọ́n mọ̀ pé wọ́n ń jàǹfààní ẹ̀ látara àwọn dírẹ́fà wọn. Nàìjíríà. Orúkọ mi ni Olúwafẹ́mi Ọláyínká Adéjàre. Mo jẹ́ ìkan nínú ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ road transport workers ní Kútọ́ garage Abẹ́òkúta. Kó tó di pé CNG dé, epo la máa ń lò. Tá a máa lọ sí Àjà pẹ̀lú epo. Nínú mọ́tò kékeré a máa rí epo 30,000 naira, GoCom 40,000 naira. Àwọn mọ́tò wa tó jẹ́ pé bóyá bíi elérò méje wọ́n máa ra 40-50. Ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tí a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lo CNG, a rí pé nínú mọ́tò àwọn elérò mẹ́rin yìí a máa lo epo CNG GoCom wa bóyá bíi 3,006 ló máa fìlì gas ló máa fìlì bọ́tù yẹn fún wa. So 3,006 yẹn la máa lò 3,006 times 2 la máa lò GoCom instead ká lo epo 30,000 naira. àwọn tí wọ́n ń lo mọ́tò elérò méje àwọn yẹn máa lo bí epo 40-50 so wọ́n náà máa lo lóòdù gáàsì wọn ní 3,600 wọ́n máa lò ní 3,006 lọ 3,006 bọ̀ so difference yẹn ti yàtọ̀ sí epo gan tó pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ. rúùtù wa láti Abẹ́òkúta sí Àjà a máa lọ GoCom so difference tó dẹ̀ wà láàárín CNG yẹn sépo ó jẹ́ nǹkan tó pọ̀ gan rẹpẹtẹ tàdé ń jàǹfààní ẹ̀ a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba. mo ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí nílò nísìnyí ó ti lé ní bóyá bíi 5 months báyìí ó yẹ kí àkókò wọ́ sílẹ̀ nítorí pé ó yàtọ̀ sí ọ̀rọ̀ epo tó yẹ pé tẹ bá rí epo tán kò ní sí nǹkan mọ́ àwọn èrò kedere wọn ò fẹ́ mọ̀ pé bóyá kò sí nǹkan mọ́ tí ẹ bá lo CNG ṣéǹjì sì máa wà lápò èèyàn tó yẹ pé èèyàn kan máa pélé gan kan lọ síbi tá a ti máa lọ fíìlì ẹ̀ so kò tí yẹ káwọn pásẹ́njà yẹn rí àǹfààní yẹn jẹ rárá because a sì ń lépo kò sí lógùn state táwọn máa fíìlì ẹ̀ nísìnyí a máa fíìlì ẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn èèyàn tó bá mọ ibi tí wọ́n ń pè ní Lákúẹ́ Farapark Lájà la ṣe máa lọ fíìlì ẹ̀ epo la dẹ̀ máa lò tàbí ká lọ sí Bàfò ká lọ fíìlì ẹ̀ epo la máa lọ sí Bàfò kò tó bá yẹ pé nǹkan tó yẹ pé gbogbo mọ́tò ló ti ṣe tí kinní yẹn ti ń generate papọ̀ tá a dẹ̀ sí ní station wọn níbí báyìí ẹni tó bá ṣe CNG kó má bìlì kò bí ó máa bẹ́ engine jẹ́ even gan ó máa ń jẹ́ kí ọ́ìlì mọ́tò mọ̀ tí ọ́ìlì mọ́tò ò ní dúdú bíi petrol because petrol ní ọ́ìlì nú CNG ó máa ń fọ engine mọ́tò mọ̀ tẹ́ bá lọ ṣe kẹwo cylinder yín kẹ́dẹ̀ wo nú ọ́ìlì kẹ́ gauge ọ́ìlì yín wò ẹ máa rí pé ọ́ìlì yẹn yàtọ̀ sí ìgbà tẹ́ ń lo petrol. àwọn tí wọ́n ń convert ẹ̀ wọ́n wá sọ́dọ̀ wa mí báyìí wọ́n wá bá wa nígbà tí wọ́n wá bá wa wọ́n ṣàlàyé fún wa pé federal government sọ pé kán ṣe kinní yẹn fún 1 million mọ́tò ní free so làwa fi lọ síbẹ̀ nígbà tá a lọ síbẹ̀ a gbé mọ́tò wa lọ wọ́n yẹ àwọn mọ́tò wa wò nígbà tó yẹ àwọn mọ́tò wa wò wọ́n rí pé mọ́tò yẹn wà òkè láti ṣe wọ́n dẹ̀ bá wa ṣe síbẹ̀ wọn ò dẹ̀ ní wá lára wọn ò gbá nǹkan kan lọ́wọ́ wa so tàbá ti ṣe tó bá ti bá a ṣe tán wọ́n á ní ká lọ fill gas tàbá ti lọ fill gas wọ́n á ní ká gbé mọ́tò padà wá láti wá ṣe calibration so wọn ò dẹ̀ gba tẹ́ǹkọ̀bọ̀ lọ́wọ́ wa. bí Nàìjíríà ṣe ṣẹlẹ̀ sẹ́mi lélẹ́yìí o.
Powered by National Orientation Agency.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every second, every minute, every hour, and every day, time doesn't just tick away. It's a countdown to political decisions that shape our world.
This country must move on.
Imagine the impact these decisions have on our lives. Some are consequential, others may leave us intrigued or baffled.
You will have no better friend and partner than Nigeria.
Step in and feel the frenzy like never before. Join me every weekday for an hour of fact-finding interviews, but questions cut to the core.
How would you say your administration has fared in these sectors?
I will dig in to get to the heart of issues, from local politics to global insight. Join me as I unearth the power plays, jaw-dropping revelations, and the unfiltered truth. This isn't just politics, it's unraveling the stories that matter. Brace yourself for Politics Tonight every weekday at 8 p.m, where every decision echoes along the corridors of our lives. Politics Tonight, only on TVC News.
The economic activity has boomed.
Màá dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn gan-an torí inú tí wọ́n ṣe àwọn náà ti ń jẹ́ ń bẹ̀.
Kò sí gbogbo ẹni ó gbọ́jà wá tí èso ọmọ ìlú ìgan wọ́n ń tajà wọ́n ń rere.
These are the people of Balogun village, witnessing a transformation that is reshaping their lives and their community. How did it all begin?
And this great road will make you all rich.
Filmmaking has long been recognized as a powerful tool for societal development, bridging cultures and preserving heritage. For decades, filmmakers faced the challenge of finding the ideal locations for their productions, often traveling long distances in search of the perfect backdrop. The need for a dedicated space that caters to all film production needs gave rise to the concept of film villages. Globally, the most renowned is Hollywood. In Nigeria, while there is no singular place known as Nollywood, numerous film villages are spread across the country. The oldest, founded by the legendary Hubert Ogunde in Ososa, Ogun State, now lies dormant. But the resurgence of film villages has become a game changer, fueling the growth of Nigeria's film industry, generating top-tier productions for cinemas and streaming platforms, and contributing significantly to the economy. In 2023 alone, the movie and music industries added approximately 150